Hi everyone, this is Stephanie. Welcome to my channel, Life with Stephanie. So today is another military video day, a little bit different. If you have not subscribed to my channel, be sure to do that now. Click that bell so you get notifications of any of our videos we post. So today's video, I am talking about how it came about that my husband joined the military. So little backstory for all of you, we'll jump right in, is my husband we both had worked in their church work field. So he had worked in music ministry and technology for at least, I think it was 7 years, and he had decided that he was going to join the military. It was not just one day on a whim, and we're going to talk about that. So it probably all started actually when we were dating in college. I knew he was interested. There was always some fear. And the funny part about it, and I joke that you weren't meant to find the recruiter's office. You weren't ready. And he really wasn't. It was not his timing. That was not what God had in store for him at that time. We were meant to have the road in the life that we've had. And yes, as much as some of it I'm like, I wish we didn't go through, it's what's made us who we are and made us stronger and brought us to where we are today. And so I wouldn't change it because we wouldn't be who we are without him. So with that, in college, I knew he was interested because he wanted me. I don't even think we were engaged yet. I know we knew we wanted to get married. I know we got engaged that summer anyway, but that same summer after we graduated from college, we had other friends who graduated and had gone on to the military as well. And then he had a lot of military friends as well. So he was always interested. We couldn't find the recruiter's office. We tried. Google Maps was incorrect. We couldn't find it. So I kind of gave up, and I remember trying to tell him, you could talk to my aunt. I had a family member who served in the military, and I had connections, so I knew he could ask some of his questions, see if it's really what he's interested in, and get connected. And I know he met my aunt, and he had asked some questions, and he had asked questions of buddies, things like that over the years. And we had some friends that were killed in action, and it was hard. So he definitely always had on the back of his mind, and I remember that. And it seemed to be because we got that recruiter's office thing happened the summer before I got married. We got married several months later, not that long, because we graduated May. It happened somewhere between May and November. Technically between May and August, and we got married in November. So it seemed like every year somehow it came up. We both are huge military buff, watching videos, things like that, movies. I love action. He was really happy when he met me, and I was totally fine with our first date being going to Gran Torino. Yeah. So he does love that, and he does love his Nicholas Sparks. I'm probably sharing a little too much, and he's probably gonna be like embarrassed when he watches this and go, really? But he likes some of the Nicholas Sparks too, so I get both, and I'm happy. But I also don't always like the sappy romances because I like the reality of letting my own life romance play out and seeing how others. But anyway, I digress. It always had come up. And I kind of just like, okay, he'd always mention it, and he didn't have a job right away, and it always was in the back of his mind, even if he was enjoying kind of what he was doing, or we were happy with how things were going. And we moved a lot, so a lot of people thought we were in the military already because we moved a lot since we were married. And 10 years of our marriage. So 10 years will be soon, in a few months. And we had moved a lot. We'd owned 3 homes. Is that right? We'd been in several apartments. 3 homes. and we've been in several different states. So we had traveled a lot, we had moved a lot, we had traveled in those senses, and we had learned really how to kind of make home wherever we were. And that's always kind of how it's felt. So that was nothing that scared us. I know for some people that scares them. Time apart, we had spent a year apart when I did my internship. That was hard. It is different than actually than being deployed or going to school. That sort of thing is very different. But we experienced that. We understood a little bit. We had a taste, I would say, just a little sampling of what it might feel like for us. And we, of course, both said we are never, because I knew he had always would bring up military life, potentially joining. I remember after that internship where he was like, well, we both were like, we're never spending time apart again. We're never doing that again. Yeah, look where we are now. Never say never, because circumstances in life can change, and I do not regret what he has done at all. I am so proud of him, and I am so happy for him. And if you watch some of the other videos or seen him, you're gonna hear me say, you know, as someone who really loves their spouse, or like you watch your kid and you see them doing what they love or blossoming into the person you know they're meant to be, in the sense of just they're filling their shoes, they're being their best self, any of those kind of things where they're happy, they're genuinely happy, and it's contagious, right? And it's exciting, and you like being a part of that. And that is how this whole process has been for us. And it wasn't that way when it started. When every time we kind of brought it up, I was just like, well, is he gonna do anything about it? I mean, we tried once to find a recruiter's office. But it was really him narrowing down what he wanted to do fully. I think that was the other thing. So for how it came about, as I know I did a video of the whole kind of process, so that I will try and link in the description below, of kind of what it was like from the process of when he swore in through what it was like for me as a spouse. So for him, before that, and getting to the point of going to a recruiter's office or putting any of this information in, what actually led to that was, like I said, he had asked once a year, this came up, it seemed. Maybe it was war. It would come up. And before this, we both were kind of struggling, going, something's got to give. We were really trying to just not live paycheck to paycheck. We were working really hard. The only debt we had at the time was our mortgage, and we still felt like it was just weighing us down. We really wanted to be debt free. We really wanted to travel, especially for like our 10-year anniversary. We had these things we wanted to do. We really also wanted to give back, and we felt so limited because of financial circumstances, and it stressed us out. And we're not saying we live by money, but there is a point when, I mean, there were times that we were really scrounging for food, because I was like, we're at the end of the month, we kind of was trying to stick to our budget. There's a lot of sacrifices we made because we wanted to plan for the future. And we are grateful we did that. We sacrificed a lot, and we may not fully get to feel that reward now, but we know we're going to feel that in retirement and years down the line. We are feeling that now. I will say we are. So that's been a huge blessing. We are completely debt free right now, and it is an amazing feeling. So that could be a whole different video for another day. Anyway, what brought us to it was we started realizing we were going to have some medical bills coming in, and we did not know how we were going to pay them. We were realizing how crappy our insurance was. And military, that's one of the things you hear a lot of them talk about, is the insurance is amazing. I don't typically always go to the doctor. I don't like to. I had grown up going to the doctor a lot. I had been very sick. That's can be a whole different, that's kind of why the natural living side came about. But I try to only go when it's serious. And what happened was I had sustained a concussion, and that concussion turned into a mild traumatic brain injury. And I wasn't always getting the answers I wanted, but we were realizing insurance wasn't going to be covering some of the stuff that we need to do. And we already knew they weren't going to cover some of the natural holistic side of things we were doing. When I saw my holistic specialist, when I did cranial sacral therapies, things that actually were working weren't covered under insurance, and it was coming out of our pockets. And so it was really, really hard because we're going, okay, we would like to be able to enjoy life, and things are having to give, but we were miserable. And my husband was struggling too with work, just realizing it wasn't fully what he was called to do. He was feeling pulled and called in another direction. And we got talking one night because I know he'd been interviewing for other church jobs. And I finally looked at him because he was bummed he didn't get one, that he heard back and they said no. And I said, is that really what you want to do? You don't seem super excited about, I know you're bummed and you kind of seemed excited, but you didn't light up like you do when you talk about military or something else, tech side or something outside the church. You light up more. And it got us talking and it got us thinking. And this was, yes, after my injury, I was doing better, but that injury and that life experience that we were going through, yes, like I said, we went through some things in life that wasn't the only, but that was one of the biggest things that made us have to reevaluate. And that happens where you have to have a shift and you have to look at it and go, okay, these are lemons I've dealt. How do I make lemonade out of this? How do I make the most out of this? I'd like sweet lemonade instead of sour lemonade. How do I make the most out of this? And I wanted him happy again. He was working really long hours. It was definitely eating him up, and he was struggling, and he had dreams for me, with our own business and the things he could see I was feeling kind of, well, one, I was not still doing while I was in recovery. But two, he wanted to provide. He has that sense of, as a true man, head of the house, wanting to provide and take care of family and to be there, and respect that and honor that in him. And it's huge. And I'm so grateful. But I also had the drive in wanting him to be happy and wanting him to enjoy, because it's contagious when you're both happy and you're doing your best and living your best, and it's the best way to live, and a lot less stress, and it makes life enjoyable, and it's meant to be enjoyable, because there are going to be those times that some rough stuff happens, but when you have some enjoyable things, it helps you keep going, and it helps you push through those rough times. And we were going through that rough time. So we got talking, and I finally just looked at him like, why not apply? You don't even know. This is exactly what I said. You don't even know if you're going to be accepted. I think in the back of my mind, I didn't expect it to happen. But he passed everything with flying colors. And I was proud of him, because it was all these doors were opening up. And that was the other thing we have learned over the years, is when is the right thing, a lot of things start lining up and doors open, and you just know this is what is meant to be. And that is what happened for him. And I am so grateful, feel so blessed that I get to be his wife. I get to support him through this, and that I get to be on that journey, and I got to go through that. Yeah, I had my emotions, and he would check with me. What were your emotions? I would check with him, because I know he was excited, but I want to make sure, is he really excited or is he really scared shitless here? No, he was really excited. And I also would say, I'm not going to let you settle for just any job. I never want you to settle for anything. I want you to be the best, do your best. And I know he wants that the same for me. We like to compliment each other in that way. And yeah, it has been an amazing journey since then. And it's hard. But it's been amazing to see. So it's kind of where it came from, is back in college, just knowing people, being interested. And then finally one night, after some life circumstances, 7 years later, 7.5, something like that, realizing, maybe 8, maybe almost 8, 8 years later, technically, because his first job in ministry was a year after graduation, technically. So about 8 years of wondering, and maybe he was thinking before that, but at least from me knowing of having this conversation, he went for it. And I am so proud of him because it's fun to see him serving and doing what he loves. And to be a part of that is a beautiful thing. So that is our story. It is unique. He is, yes, we've been told he's kind of one of a kind in that way. They're not always around his age, or they've had previous careers. A lot of times, you know, you think of them, they're coming out of high school and then they go off to college, or maybe they came right out of college. So he definitely is a little bit different on that side, but it is okay. There are others out there, and so that's why I thought this might be something that resonates with you, or maybe you just like hearing some of those stories of where, you know, how some of this happens for some people or that sort of thing. So I hope it's helpful for you. I do like sharing stories because I feel like in some small way it may find the right person and be helpful for them or be a support. So it's a little bit of my story. It's a little different than doing some of the top 5 tips videos. Just a little background so you guys get to know me, and be sure to comment below if you have a little bit of your story of how your spouse joined, or maybe he was already in, or they were already in, she was in before you met, and I love those stories though, you know, if you knew going into marriage or if you didn't know. So for us, that was a little different. I'd be happy to support you. So thanks guys, and I appreciate you guys watching. Be sure to subscribe and hit that like button if you like this video, and click that bell so you get notified. And be sure to leave a comment. Love to hear from you guys. Bye everyone.